I'm Michael Weatherly.
And I'm Cody DePablo. We're talking about Season 3, Episode 7, Honor Code. We also have a very special guest with us today in studio, Robert J. Wagner. We'll be talking about all things NCIS, Robert Wagner, and Anthony DiNozzo Sr.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's the best. Welcome to Off Duty, an NCIS Rewatch podcast. This week on the show, we're talking Season 3, Episode 7, Honor Code. A 6-year-old boy sees who kidnaps his father, a naval officer who works with a highly classified online encryption system the boy calls NCIS, so Gibbs and the team investigate. This episode's release was November 1st, 2005. 2005 was such a great year.
I love this thing that we do where we talk about extraneous phenomena from the day this episode first aired. Hit me with your crazy information.
Champion racehorse Best Mate suffered a heart attack and died while racing in front of a live television audience. That is crazy. By the way, I grew up with a family that had racehorses, and they did all that stuff. I wasn't a part of it, so that's why it's so foreign to me because it happened in South America.
And I'm sure there was a racehorse named Ziva, but I know that there was a racehorse that won a significant amount of races called DiNozzo.
Really?
Yeah.
You're very proud of that.
Google it.
Googleable.
It's Googleable. Go to the next thing and I'm going to look up
Films
DiNozzo.
Jarhead and Chicken Little had their theatrical release. Chicken Little was such a cute little movie.
I love that that's the one you go for.
Of course. The discovery of 2 additional moons of Pluto is announced. Ooh, that would be amazing. I wonder what that means astrologically. And the album Greatest Hits is released, a collection of Blink-182's greatest singles. Michael, what's your favorite Blink-182 track?
The album is Enema of the State, and the song is What's My Age Again?
Okay.
Listen to it. Read the lyrics, and you will know that that was probably Anthony DiNozzo's favorite song, too.
So just so you know, Gibbs befriends a young boy after his father, a lieutenant commander, is kidnapped. The lieutenant commander has been working on classified project and is the one with a set of encryption codes, which could pose a serious threat to national security if leaked. Although the evidence gathered suggests the lieutenant commander was part of a scheme, Gibbs's famous gut says otherwise. Meanwhile, the team takes turns babysitting a 6-year-old boy. Because I have a problem sometimes separating Mark and Gibbs, and they're totally different people. I know that. But they're both, to me, very much father figures. The thing that people don't know is that Mark is actually really good with kids. Remember, like all the kids would come in and he would always take them and he would always kind of take them under his wing. There'd always be like a knife that he would take out and he'd be like, look at this. And he'd always keep them like very interested.
This is a loaded weapon. You want to, here's a knife.
But
hey,
he was always
have you ever had bourbon?
No, he was always really sweet to kids. I was always like an observation that I made. Like he was a caretaker, especially of the little ones. And I do think that maybe that trickled into the character of Gibbs. And Gibbs was very protective, of course, because he lost his little girl.
Yeah, they're going to take care of you until we get your dad back.
I can take care of myself.
I don't doubt that.
That informed a lot of what we see that character go through in the many years of his portrayal. You know, like the protection of the little people is a big deal.
Protection of little people from Gibbs. And unlike the sort of space you're coming from, I saw Mark and Gibbs as 2 entirely different species of human. Like I saw them, and because what I saw from Mark Harmon when he was working with child actors was a deep concern for the child actor.
But you understand why,
Yeah.
and he had a moment, and I'm sure he would talk about it if he were here, but where he was doing a movie when he was, before NCIS, obviously, and he was working with a child actor, and Mark apparently had this very intense scene with this kid who had to have a breakdown, and he saw this director sort of save the last take for this little kid, and he wanted a very honest reaction. He wanted the little kid to kind of break down. And Mark was like, what is he doing? And at the end, he did something that was like unacceptable. I'm not sure exactly what he did to the kid, but he did something that really affected the kid, like psychologically. Like it was just a horrible thing to see. And I think from then, Mark had a very protective attitude towards children on set. He
think
really
that's true.
wanted to make sure that they felt safe, that they felt loved, looked after. And because I think that was like a horrible moment in his career where he was like, oh my God, they can do this to a child.
Well, and Sean Murray was a child actor.
He was also. And that's a very intense thing.
It's a super intense thing. And I think that, I came to acting at 21 years old, and some would say I never quite got there. But, hello.
That's a very hard thing to believe if you're sitting on that chair after
21 years old,
television episode.
Making a choice to become an actor as an adult, really, as a voting person, as someone who can buy alcohol. I'm of the legal age of consent. So, hello. And, at 21 years old, you're making a decision after college about what you're going to do with your life. It's an appropriate age. It's difficult when you're like, this little boy's 6 years old in this episode.
I'm waiting for Agent DiNozzo to ask me a question.
What kind of questions was I supposed to ask?
What I saw, why I called NCIS.
He's now 25.
Oh my God. He's probably going to listen to this and go, why are they talking about me? No, he was a pro, and it's very weird as an adult.
He knew my lines better than I knew my lines. I'll tell you that.
That's not a lot.
That's not a challenge. But we also, in the episode with him, learned so much about what Gibbs' relationship to the boy is, and we see a little bit of like what he's like as a father. And Tony talks about his father. There's a lot of father strands in this thing. Cody, will you introduce our guest?
Oh, I would love to. None other than Robert J. Wagner, who is a really special, dear actor to us. Did how many episodes?
Many, 15
maybe
maybe?
15? Yeah.
And how many movies and how many
oh my
TV
God.
shows?
I mean, I'm like a resume like you can't believe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Wagner.
Junior, what's the matter with you?
Junior, thank God you're here.
DiNozzo, it's for me.
You finally get to meet the real Tony DiNozzo.
They've got the best ribeye in town.
I don't like to advertise my failures.
What's the fuss? I had a few drinks last night. Maybe too many. That's all I'm guilty of.
Did you slip me a roofie? Do something with this, Junior.
Junior, when are you going to come to your senses and sweep this gorgeous creature off her feet?
I love you, Anthony. I love you.
I am going to start this very special episode that we call our show Off Duty, RJ. You know why?
Because you're off duty.
I know. It's a simple
Well,
title,
as
but sometimes
actors,
simple
as
works.
people.
Simple works. So, so this, Cody DePablo, this is our conversation.
This is a treat and an honor.
With Robert J. Wagner. And Jill. Hi, Jill.
Can you?
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
God, look at
Hi,
you,
Jill.
gorgeous.
Duke.
Hi, Duke.
Can you see the Duke?
We see Duke.
Oh, look at
Hey,
you.
Duke, you good boy. So I would just want to say, Robert J. Wagner, it is such
Yes.
beautiful honor, pleasure, privilege to be in your company once again. And I could just do it forever. I love being with you. And I know that Cody and I have not wanted to even talk about how excited we are that we get to talk to you in this way. Have you got that bottle of wine open?
No, I'm still saving that for when you come up. I'm so happy to be with you. This is a very a wonderful thing to do.
Did you guys ever think you would have this relationship? Because this started on NCIS, Mr. Wagner playing your father. But then I watched this for many years. You guys became very close friends, and that's something that I don't think the audience knows.
We became friends, but there's a core mystery between me and RJ that persists. From the very first time we met and worked together until today, we are still asking the same question. Do you know what that question is, RJ?
Yes. Are you doing me?
Or am I doing you?
You're right, though, Cody. We have become very, very close and very good friends. And I love Michael, and I love his family, and it's been a tremendous thing in my life to be involved with him. I love him dearly.
But why do you think that is? Why do you think this kind of thing started between you guys? What was the synergy?
It was Michael's idea to have me be on the show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
To be his father. And
well, I hate to say, George Hamilton wasn't available.
Please,
hello,
Michael. Don't,
hello?
please. Hello. I love doing the show, and I love being with you both. Both of you. You were great.
And the chief, of course.
And the chief. Well, I had seen your work. I'd been told about you, and I had seen your work because I was a very big admirer of NCIS and of Mark's, because I've known Mark for a long time, and I like his work very much. And he was wonderful as Gibbs. It was a great character for him. And when you had the idea of my being your father, I knew about the show, and I knew about you, and several people had said so much that we look so much alike, that you look like my son, and I was very flattered with that.
And we straightened that out with my mom, that you are not, in fact, my father.
Yes.
We got clear on that. Because my mom tells the story in Lake Tahoe in like the mid-50s of, she was a waitress, and she served your table, and she thought you had fantastic hair and nice legs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And nice legs?
And nice legs. Well, RJ's still got
RJ.
nice legs. Let's not get started on the legs. So, Robert Wagner, sir, do you remember the night we met? I sent a town car for you, and I sort of screwed it up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And we went over to
With
our
John.
friend's house, John McNamara's house.
Yeah.
John and
Yes,
Julie.
that's right.
And we
And your son,
had dinner.
David.
And young David.
And we had dinner.
And we got to know each other that night. And it was before we had worked together. So when we worked together, I think it might have even been the next day, certainly the next maybe Monday, we had already had this kind of celebration and meeting, and maybe a glass of wine. And so there was a
Maybe
relationship there already.
Yeah, you were so wonderful to me, because to walk into that show is like sitting in a Rolls Royce. Everything, it just ran beautifully. And you were so great. And, you can be a little bit nervous when you come into a situation like that. And I wish Cody had been there, and it would have been better.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I was so awful.
So,
by the way, I was pretty nice to you too.
No, but let me.
Yeah, you sure were.
So I'm going to stop the NCIS memory for a second. I want to go back in the story of Robert Wagner. What was your first time on set, and your first speaking role, and the first time that you had those nerves about being on a set?
Well, Michael, I was the test boy at Fox, where I wanted to learn how to be, what it was like to be on a set. So it was a wonderful education for me.
Do you remember any of the people you tested with that we might remember as well?
Well, Joan Collins, I remember Beverly, and Joan uses the test in her show. Because we kissed each other, and there was a little problem with the lipstick and saliva and everything, and she runs that in her show.
And when did you know you wanted to be an actor? Like always?
Yeah, I did. I really wanted to be in the movies, and I finally got a contract to Fox. I did a screen test for them, and I was signed. At that time, Cody, it was the thing to be under contract to a studio, and I had done the rounds to MGM and Columbia and Warner's, and finally, this wonderful, marvelous lady called Helena Sorrell, who was the dramatic coach. She felt that I had something, and she did my test, and with that, they signed me to the studio, and I was under contract to Fox for 12 years. I started at $75 a week, take home $55, and I was in the movies, and I loved it.
That's how it was back then. You were making money weekly. You weren't like negotiating per movie or anything like that. You just were under contract and you got what they gave you.
Yeah, 40 weeks. 40 weeks out of 52.
Anyone watching this, listening to this, should press pause, go to Amazon and buy you've written several books, but Pieces of My Heart is such an extraordinary memoir and a real emotional piece of work. And I told you the story of when I was in Monte Carlo and I ran into Roger Moore, who had written a book called My Word is My Bond. And I had to tell him that you had the better title. You are sort of an American James Bond. You've always been very debonair. And it's interesting that you were in the Austin Powers series, but I think Mike Myers must have been thinking about you in It Takes a Thief and certainly a lot of other jobs that you did. Was It Takes a Thief the first broadcast contract you signed?
No,
for television?
It Takes a Thief was, that was the first television show that I did, and I did that because I was at Universal. And, you're talking about Bond. I'm married to a Bond girl.
I was gonna bring it up.
How did you meet Jill, by the way?
I met Jill when she was 16 years old.
Oh, my Lord.
I was doing a picture with Debbie Reynolds and Bing Crosby called Say One for Me, and she came on the set because she was under contract at Fox, and the Fox contract players could go and visit different sets and watch people work and hopefully learn something. And it was all open. It was very much a family thing. And that's when I met Jill. And when I met Jill's mother, I said, I met Jill on the set of Say One for Me. And she said, yes, I know, I have the pictures. And she had the pictures of when Jill and I met. And then we did a couple of films together. She was in the pilot of Heart to Heart. And
a great anti-dentite Seinfeld episode.
And yes, we did the Seinfeld episode. And we've been married now for 33 years. And honestly, we look at each other and say, if anybody has ever told us we'd be married, we never had a romance until we got married. And that was a wonderful romance, and it has been a great romance.
You're a lucky man.
And I am a very lucky man, Cody. I am very lucky. I've been very fortunate, and we have 3 wonderful children and 2 grandchildren, and it's been, I'm so grateful. I live in gratitude, believe me.
Well, we are incredibly grateful that you deigned to be an NCIS cast member.
Federal agents, hands in the air. Junior, what's the matter with you?
Put that thing down. Someone could get hurt.
But you did, even after I left the show, I have to say, I thought maybe you were going to take my place. After you kept going back.
We celebrated the 10-year anniversary together in New York. You remember? And you gave me that wonderful cape. Oh, that was
I
so
remember
great.
talking to you on the phone, and I was living in New York at the time, and you told me, guess who I'm going to see today? And I said, who? Robert. And you told me you went to, what was
Hermes.
it? Hermes.
It's an Hermes cape.
Hermes.
Anytime you can get somebody a blanket.
That's a beautiful one, by the way.
So do you remember at all,
it's great.
When we were shooting the first episode, I just remember that Dad, what are you doing here?
Hey, guys! Look who I found out in the lobby.
Dad, what are you doing here?
Ziva, show me some love.
It became a thing. It became a thing. It became a thing. And
Yeah,
then
every
Dad,
time
what are
you
you doing
showed
here?
up, it was, Dad, what are you doing here? And it always had a different inflection. But you, being very nice about a well-oiled machine and a Rolls Royce like NCIS, but heart to heart, you know, as a kid, I really loved the adventure, the Nick and Nora intrigue, and Max, and the whole setup for Heart to Heart.
Yes, sir.
How
there's a lot of plagiarism there.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you ever heard of a show called CSI, but we went NCIS. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
But you put your stamp on 80s television. I mean, you put your stamp on movies in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and certainly television with It Takes a Thief and Switch. And you worked with our dearly departed David McCallum on a TV show called Colditz.
Yeah, David and I go back quite a ways. That was in the early 70s that we did that.
Right.
And then he was on my show a couple of times. He was on Heart to Heart, and he was on Switch. And I liked him a lot. He was a wonderful man, and
he loved his props.
Our kids were together too, you know, in England.
Can you talk about the props? Because you made the mention of the props. I know the story behind this, and I think our audience would like to know about that statement.
David, every actor enters their process from a certain angle. Some people, it's all about the dialogue. For some people, it's all about the hat or the hair. Some people are very concerned with their wardrobe. But David was props first.
But you were the one that brought that up to Michael, right?
Yes.
Robert?
Yeah, I mentioned it to Michael, and then Michael said, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." You remember? I mean, we both got into a sort of a laughing jag on that, because he loved to get props and figure out things to do and make little things, and he was the perfect choice for that part. He was the perfect choice to play the duck.
You know, one of the great treats, RJ, about doing weekly television, which you did for a long time, 20 years straight, right?
Yes, I would say.
Every week, every new episode is a new guest star, right? You've got a new, and you know, you're looking at whoever your co-star is, like Stephanie Powers and Heart to Heart or whatever, and you guys have to wake up and go in there, but it's the guest stars that really bring a show energy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think particularly after you've been doing it a while, and it's wonderful to have actors come in and do, you know, bring their quality to the show, and it's so helpful, and it perks you up. You know, it's like tennis. You know, you play against a good tennis player, and you play a little bit better.
Do you remember Joseph Cotton being on It Takes a Thief, for instance?
Yes, I do.
And you brought some incredible... You were really in charge of bringing some because of all your connections in Hollywood and how long you'd been working, you really knew a lot of people. Who would you say was the most interesting guest you've ever brought into a show?
Well, on It Takes a Thief, when the thought of having Fred Astaire be my father, that was really exciting. And I had a wardrobe man who knew Fred and worked with him, and he was such a wonderful guy, called Huey McFarland. And Huey knew Fred very well, and when the thought came up, I thought, geez, you think he'll do it? Do you think I should talk to him? And he said, absolutely. He said, talk to him. And so I went to Mr. Astaire, who I loved, such a wonderful man, and I knew him over the years, and he was very, very encouraging to me when I wanted to be an actor. He was so kind to me and so wonderful. He was such a great person to me.
And you did the Towering Inferno with him as well.
Yeah, I did. But him being on the show on It Takes a Thief, Oh man, that was the highlight of my life, to have him at that time to be my father and for me to be his son. And he was the greatest thief in the world. And
That's right.
he was great. I loved him.
Do you
I
feel
loved
like you
him. He
learned
was
something
marvelous.
about that? You know, meaning like at one point you came into NCIS and you became DiNozzo's father and Michael's very good friend. Do you feel like you have to pass the baton sort of from a spiritual, emotional standpoint so you could make the next generation stronger, better, kinder, you know, all of those things as an actor? Because, you know, there are many people out there that could be lousy, you know, as people and very good actors, but not generous, you know? And I think what you're saying is this man was incredibly generous to you.
He was. I am saying that, Cody. And it meant a great deal to me. It meant it so much to me. And I was very close with him. We were very close friends. And over the years. And he was a special person. I loved him. And, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, Michael's been so wonderful to me. I don't know whether, you know, when I was doing the show, we had a couple of very big scenes together. And Michael, I'll never forget it, Michael, on a Sunday, his day off, drove out. I was living in a hotel near the set, so I didn't have to drive back and forth. And I had, you know, all my energy was involved in these scenes. And he came out and rehearsed with me on Sunday, spent the whole afternoon with me from 12 o'clock till 6 rehearsing these scenes. And I'm ever grateful for that, Michael, because you made me feel
I did not know that. And I can see
easy.
that you're getting emotional, Michael.
I don't get emotional.
You do too. Your eyes are twinkling.
It meant so much to me. It meant a great deal to me.
Well, you have meant a lot to me,
Michael, I love
RJ.
you.
One of the first moments we were loading in the elevator to do a scene, you and I, you know, what I mean by loading in the elevator is when you go back to your one, which is where you start, and then when you have to get to, you know, we would walk into the squad room from the elevator. They loaded us into the elevator and closed the door, and you rolled your shoulders back, took a couple of deep, quick hits of the air through your nose, and you just got yourself centered, and then you looked at me and you said, "Let's show him the magic."
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, action, ding, and those doors opened, and you taught me something about, you know, generosity.
Well, you're easy. You're easy
in a lot
to
of
be
ways.
with.
Hello?
My relationship with you has meant so much to me, Michael, and it's been so wonderful to have had the opportunity to be with you and Cody, and you were all so great. I'd always heard that it was a wonderful company, and that's one of the reasons that motivated me to take the part of Anthony DiNozzo Sr. The people on the show and the people involved with it were just absolutely marvelous. And you particularly, and Cody, I love you both. And what a way for me to sort of finish my career by being on the #1 show in the world. And with the two of you, it's means a great deal to me.
I don't think we were the #1 show until you arrived. So I think you might have something to do with that, boss.
Which was season 3.
Season
7 was when we finally met Senior?
Yes.
Oh, wow. But we talked about him for how many seasons prior?
Oh, from the beginning. And the whole idea of DiNozzo, the character. So this is a funny story. Dom Belisario, we're making the JAG episodes, which is the spin-off episodes. And that's how Mark Harmon and David McCallum and Pauly Perrette and I were the four.
The core four.
Core four from the original. And after the 2 episodes aired, I flew to London, and I was in this hotel room in Covent Garden, and I got an email from Don, and he said, "I'm trying to write the first script of the season, and I can't hear your voice." You know, writers hear the characters' voices. And I guess I hadn't impressed him very much. He couldn't hear my character in the scenes. And he said, I don't want it to just be run of the mill. Do you have any ideas? And Don asked me, you have any thoughts on your character? Well, never ask me what my thoughts are on something. I wrote a 10-page email that was an exegesis of, high order. I talked about how DiNozzo lost his mother when he was a child. He was raised by his father, who had been, it takes a thief, had been a kind of a con man thief and an unreliable male figure, which is why DiNozzo became a cop, which Don had already established. But I wanted to give all this perversity to the character, and I wanted to have build in all this conflict. And the central conflict to me for a young man is his relationship with his father. Right?
Do you think it mimics a little bit of the relationship you had with Gibbs? Or were you afraid of Gibbs?
Gibbs was a replacement father. But once you meet this guy, once you run into Anthony DiNozzo Sr., then all of a sudden I knew it was just going to be magic, because you illuminate that relationship by coming in and being a little bit, flippant and deflective and using humor as a device to defend yourself. But underneath it, you see there's all this emotion and all this other stuff going on. It really, bravo to Robert Wagner you came in and found you could have played it for laughs or cheap or shallow, and I think you just absolutely hit it out. That first episode, you hit it out of the park so hard. You made my job harder, though, because then I had to live up to how amazing my father was.
Well, I think the basic thing, I think you, as my son, and I, even though we had our differences and we had there was that love. There was love there. And that was what I played. And I think that's what you played, because I felt it.
Right. What they didn't have was trust. Right.
But there was love.
But there was love.
True.
And that's what they had to build, was the relationship, was the trust.
That's very true.
And I was also always jealous of your hair.
Fantastic hair.
I never had that hair.
Well,
you're a beautiful man inside and out.
Thank you very much, Michael. And so are you.
What was Paul Newman's?
Love you.
What was
this
Paul
is like
Newman's,
just being a spectator for this love fest going on.
Paul Newman was a pretty good-looking guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Do you know what his nickname on the set of a movie was for RJ when they did a picture together? Remember what he called you, RJ?
Beauty.
Called him Beauty.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
When
coming
Paul
from
Newman
that guy.
calls you Beauty, you got something going on in the looks department. Hello? So when I go to the gym, I turn my TV on and I have the classic movie channel on. And I have to say, once a week, it's Robert Wagner in, The Hunters with Robert Mitchum, or, my gosh, what was the movie where you wore that crazy wig?
Oh, Prince Valiant.
Prince Valiant.
What's that?
With this huge back catalog of movies and a huge career in television, what to you is the primary difference between cinema, in the making of it, in the production of a movie versus the production of a TV series?
Well, a TV series, as you know, is like having a snowball following you. You're running down the hill and you got the snowball behind you, because it's week after week, and some people come in and some people go out, and you have to keep your character always. You have to have a knowledge about your character and believe in what you're doing, because it's all happening so fast, and the results are so quick. And I mean, that after spending, how many years were you on the show?
I did
13
on NCIS.
20. But then he did Bull. How many in Bull?
6 on Bull.
Yeah,
I did 19 on CBS.
Years.
But so what's
19 years?
So when you're making,
that's a lot of work, Michael.
It is, but when you're making a movie, what would you say that your memories are of that production style, which actually probably changed a great deal between the 50s and 60s and when you were doing Austin Powers?
Well, they have a board, and they know exactly where they're going. They know exactly how much time it's going to take. They know if something happens, what they can do. And, the way that production people figure it out, it's a miracle to me.
But the snowball is a great image.
It is actually really good. I
Just
kept on
getting-
thinking of like the twin babies, like when they work with children, they just try to cast
Well,
twins.
can I tell the story, RJ, about you and me and Tom Wright and the child who's playing Tolly,
Please.
who is, do you remember that story?
Yeah, sure. Tell it.
Well, do you
This
want
was this was after I left.
This was my last episode.
Right.
And we're sitting there and Tom Wright goes, all right, I've figured it out. And Tom is a very specific director. And he says, I'm going to put the baby, the kid, the 3-year-old between you and RJ. You'll all be on the couch. And the little girl is going to be sitting and she'll look from this side to this side. And I look over at RJ and his, talk about twinkling. You had a look in your eye and I thought, he knows something. And RJ very diplomatically goes, Tom, can I make a suggestion? Do you mind if I make a suggestion? And Tom, who doesn't listen to many people because he's got it figured out, he says, sure. What is it, RJ? RJ goes, it's a great idea putting the kid in the middle, but that kid's never going to do the same thing twice. And you're going to find yourself in that cutting room, not being able to cut back and forth between me and Junior. What if we have the girl on the couch and me and Junior are facing her, a couple of dads looking at the girl, and then you've got all the freedom. And I watched Tom Wright go through the shot list that he'd prepared, all the work that he'd done, and he knew you were right. And it was the cagey veteran, Robert Wagner. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Wagner.
No, that's a brilliant movie.
Do you remember that at all? Or is that just so ingrained?
Oh, sure.
But part of what making television is you got to be on your toes. You've always got to be thinking a little outside the box, just in case, and make sure that you're protecting not only yourself, but your other actors and, making sure that the director doesn't put himself into a problem. And you solved so many problems there. It was incredible to watch.
Oh, well, that was a good day. That scene came out well, too, didn't it?
This belonged to Ima, and now it's Tully's. Come here. There you go.
And that little girl was so cute. Both of them.
Hey, we have a daughter.
I know. What's her name? Tali.
Oh, yeah.
She's how old is she now?
27.
No.
I don't know. No, she's like 12. Dude, I keep asking all the questions. I have to let Cody ask a question.
No, look, for me, it's just a treat to watch you guys because I've seen this relationship grow from day one. And it's like, I'm not going to mess with perfection here. I know how much you mean to Michael and I know how much Michael means to you. So, I'm watching this kind of love go back and forth, and I'm just in awe. If I have anything to add, of course, I'll ask you. And by the way, I do have a little question.
I knew there'd be one.
Oh, yeah, there's. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given in this business? And that's a big question.
Big question.
But you've had a long career, a mighty successful career, and you've been, you've gone through so much in life, and you remain so grateful. And to me, that's so admirable.
But, one of the best things I ever heard was from Spencer Tracy, who said, involved with our business, in our business. He said, learn the lines, hit the mark, and be honest. And that meant a great deal to me, It's kind of simplified everything because that's what we're all looking for as actors. And in life, you just want to be forthright, have empathy, be honest, be direct, be trusting,
RJ, when we were doing our first episode together, for the week, I think you and I were finishing right around lunchtime, right after lunch, maybe 3 o'clock. And we wrapped, and you said, I had just gotten a German Shepherd dog named Oriana, and she was still sort of a pup. She was about 9 or 10 months old. And you said, I miss my dog. Why don't you, have you got the dog at home? And I said, yes. You said, do you want to come over for a little bit this afternoon? And I said, just to hang out? And you said, yeah, let's hang out. You said, go get the hund and come on over and we'll hang out. So I go bombing home. I tell Boyana, I'm like, give me the dog. I'm going to go hang out with Robert Wagner with my dog. And I was so excited. I jumped in my car. I drove over to your apartment, and I went into the lobby and said, the doorman said, Mr. Wagner is waiting for you. So I get in the elevator with the dog. I come up, I step off the elevator, and I see you in this beautiful red sweater down the hallway, and you give me a little wave. My dog immediately abandons me and goes up to Robert Wagner and starts licking RJ's hand. And RJ gives her the love, and Oriana's going, there, yes. So I think, I've already lost my dog. It recognizes a true alpha. So then we go in, and Elizabeth, who was working for you at the time, and you had someone else there. They were just leaving the apartment. And we went in, and you poured some water into a bowl and set it down for Oriana. And she looked at you like, I love you. And then you said, all right, the dog is all set. Come with me. And you walked me into the living room where there were chairs seated across the coffee table, and a groaning coffee table with all the meat cuts and cheese and crackers and little dips. And you'd set out all this food. And there was a wine glass in front of each of us, a bottle of water and a bottle of wine. And you said, would you like a glass of wine? And I said, I think I'd like a glass of wine. So we poured the glass of wine, and you held up the glass and you said, let's tell each other the truth. And you were exactly what you were saying. Tell the truth. We're going to hang out right now. No bullshit.
Oh, I would have loved being in that room.
It was a good conversation.
Oh, I bet it was.
We were there until the sun went down. My dog sat next to RJ the whole time. I was like, well, Oriana, remember?
Lost her.
I had to put the leash on her to get her to come with me. But we
love that dog.
But we spent some time together, and it just made me remember what you were saying about telling the truth. And that's what you said. Let's
Did
tell
you
the
start
truth.
telling the truth?
Since
then?
With RJ, I did.
So that applied. The rules only applied to RJ.
Other people still got the runaround, but RJ got the truth.
You know what, RJ? I have this wonderful memory of you coming onto set and talking about your grandson and how they called you No. Remember? And I remember I was like, why do they call you No? And I thought, oh my God, that's so cute. That's very Italian. No. So I was like, oh my God, is it because because maybe, are you Italian? And so I started asking you all these questions, and you said, no, it's a lot simpler than that. Can you tell us the story?
Well, it comes from watching him. I'm going, no. And so he started calling me No.
So you were just
was watching
policing him. You just don't touch that. Nope. No. That's where it came from.
No.
Oh my God, the best.
Yeah.
Well, I want to express my deep love. And thank you so much for taking time to spend with us in this, from Dr. Evil's secret lair, where you have a Bond girl and a German Shepherd dog by your side. But you are a beautiful man, and I love you, sir.
Well, I love the both of you. You mean so much to me, and the fact that you came into my life is one of the great treasures for me. And thank you for all those nice things you said about me. And I love you both with
Oh,
all my heart.
I love you, Dad.
oh,
It was a really beautiful conversation. I was checking I had to make sure that I stayed like on the trail because I get so emotional.
but why were you getting so emotional?
Well, because I think there's so much there. What a life that guy lived.
Yes, but
What
why
a
does it
life.
affect you in the way that it affects you?
Well, maybe I can feel history through him, not just, it's kind of like doing mushrooms or something. It's like he's my little psilocybin daddy because all the walls come down and like you just have oneness, you know? Yeah. Okay, let's talk some fan questions.
Okay, so
All right. I'm
all right.
very excited for the fan questions. And I don't know if you can tell, these are some pretty Robert Wagner glasses.
I know.
Hello. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question here. Hi, my question is for Cody. If you had to change careers to something that is not acting, what would you choose?
Probably something with real estate. Maybe, of course, the first answer would have been like a singer or something like that. Then, but if it's not in the arts, real estate or psychology. I think anything that has to do with like understanding people, where they come from, I think that's a very innate thing for me, and it's something that I'm terribly curious about.
It's very different things, real estate and
Very,
psychology.
totally.
I like it. It's very good.
All right, so this question is for Michael. Michael, big fan. You've spoken before about your career being at a low point before NCIS. How close were you to giving up? And do you have any advice for others in a similar situation?
Very interesting question, I say with my FM podcast voice. I did reach what we call a nadir, a low point. I was, these things are all connected in terms of I was scraping the bottom of the barrel emotionally. I felt like I didn't have a lot of, in my life, I didn't have a lot of fundamental support structures that I could trust. And even though I was in a relationship before that I could have trusted, I didn't have it in me to do that. I was, and so it does come down to that word. I was not able to make sense of things, and I was not, I don't think I ever became, friggin' Daniel Day-Lewis, but I was definitely not able to act my way out of a paper bag in certain ways. And with that came trust. I was self-conscious, not trusting the process, not trusting my own inspiration and my own things. So it's that time when you're thinking, maybe I should just give it all up. But I never had that actual thought. I just kept getting more and more angry with myself that I wasn't having a breakthrough. And I more and more and more angry. And I was...
What would you do when that anger would pop up? Did you get proactive about it, or did
all
you get...
kinds of things. I mean, I did just pour myself into DiNozzo. And that was the breakthrough moment where I never had played that loose with myself, and I never trusted myself like that. And it was, again, we've talked about it. I felt like I had a lot of support from coworkers and from scene partners.
Hi, you.
And I found a lot, but I still didn't have those stanchions, those really fundamental cornerstone foundations. So as I built up this house, I didn't have the bottom of it figured out. And as you get up there, it starts to
wobble,
sink and wobble.
Yes.
I don't know. Have you ever lived in a house that it turns out it wasn't built correctly, and so you had to do a lot of...
Yes, I actually trusted somebody with the house, and they did a horrible job.
Your
And now
house,
I have to...
right? So you know exactly what that.
But isn't it funny? But isn't it funny how the universe has a plan? Because
yes,
at the time that was happening, I had to pay attention to other foundational things in life,
yes,
and that's the thing that I couldn't miss. Because it was so obvious what I was going through that I was almost being slapped with it. And I was kicking and screaming, trying to get my way out of this in the easiest way out And the universe was like, nope, you are not going to go the easy way, and you are going to learn the lesson. And the lesson is massive. Work foundationally on everything that you are. And it's intense because it kicks my ass.
It's intense. It's a lifelong pursuit, but certainly if we could, we're talking to Robert Wagner about advice. If I were to dispense any advice, odious as it might be, it's never stop working on yourself.
I mean, well, that's like an everyday battle, right?
Every day. Got to tend that garden, Cody.
On that note.
Should we go to the, have you ever had a plot line on the show that you just were like, went up to the writer's office and said, not doing it?
Well, not plot line, but I think we all had moments that we were like, oh, well, and it's fun. I remember thinking about this today. I went up to the writer's room and I remember sitting down, and I think it was like 3 people. And I remember getting really, me, getting very animated, very passionate. And at one point, well, but at one point I realized that, and this happens to me also with my husband, I use my hands a lot and I point a lot, and he just looks at my hands and I feel very self-conscious because all of a sudden I feel like I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing.
I know,
it's very cultural, and it's very much who I am. Like, I speak with my hands, I speak with my body, I speak with my face. I just, everything about me is speaking. And I remember having to say to the writer, who I could see was taking offense, stopping myself and saying, oh, you're thinking that I'm mad. This is coming across as anger. And I remember at the time she looked at me and she was like, well,
yeah.
And I just had to say, oh, no. Apologies. That's not at all what I'm trying to do or say. I am very much passionate about the things I feel, and it's awful because at times I have to make apologies for my passion.
Yeah, that is really interesting, and I think it's a really good point because that's how much you care. And one of the reasons NCIS, I think, connected with audiences, there's always the question of like, why was it so popular? Why is it so popular? But I think in some not so small part, it's because we cared and we poured ourselves into it. Now, I will tell you the story where there was a plot where there was a woman who worked in the armory and she died, a young woman. And she loved everybody and everybody loved her, but there was one person she didn't like, and it was DiNozzo. And so everyone's teasing DiNozzo, like, why didn't she like you? She liked everybody. And in the script, my line was, how could she not like me? As if like, because I'm DiNozzo.
Right.
And I went over to a writer who was on the floor and I said, I can't say this. And he was like, no, it's funny. Like, everyone likes me. How can I? I'm like, no, Tony DiNozzo doesn't
within
think,
the context.
Tony DiNozzo doesn't think anyone likes him. He's terrified that somebody might not like him. This is a confirmation of his worst fear. The only question in his mind is, why didn't she like me? That's the guy. And that's his sense of humor.
Yeah. That's
his need for attention. That's his.
Are you getting emotional again?
Sure. I'm a very emotional person.
Yes.
But so it's really not acting out a storyline. It's acting out it's when it doesn't line up with the intention, the truth of the character. Can't do it.
Well, I mean, I had moments like that, which you know very well, one of those moments. But
air guitar?
Yeah. And I just remember thinking that's so not the character. And look, that was a big lesson for me. Because inevitably the showrunner wanted me to do it, and I inevitably had to do it. He made me do it 3 times, different days. And and the last time he was just like, I want you to fully commit to this. And it's the only way it's going to work. And I did. And now when I watch it, I go, okay, well, the moment works, but I kicked and screamed regarding that moment because I just didn't think it was the character. However, now looking back on it, it's not the character, but it's the moment in which she wants to experience herself in a completely different way.
Right.
And
she's trying something on.
And if she's going to do it, she's going to she makes sure, remember, she looks around and she's like, is anyone going to watch me? It's the moment where she's like, is anyone seeing this? Is anyone going to am I going to betray myself?
So you found a way to do the truth in something that it was looked at straight on was not true.
Fundamentally not at all the character.
And a lot of things do happen like that.
Well, isn't that true?
It is.
Yeah.
Boy, maybe.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe this thing's
well, maybe we should call RJ all the time.
I feel very connected right now. My God. Do we want to talk about a Gibbs rule? Will you do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you do it.
Okay. So Gibbs rule of the day, number 14. Do you know that one?
Push the button, just don't push it all the way.
No, but something like it. Bend the line, don't break it.
Bend the line.
Oh.
Don't break it.
Oh, suck it.
Oh, what?
Wait a minute. What?
I'll edit that
What?
part out. I don't even know
Oh,
what
who
you were
knows?
doing now.
Who knows else? I don't know.
Cody, where can I watch NCIS?
You can watch NCIS on Paramount Plus and CBS. Next week on Off Duty, Tony and Ziva are where, Michael?
We're in a fancy hotel.
What are we doing?
We're on a date.
What do we do?
Well, that escalated fast. What do we do? We're kissing.
Okay,
we're kissing,
yes, I remember
and
that.
It gets steamy and it's very, very sexy. So don't go anywhere, folks. This is a milestone TIVA episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about it. I mean, this off-duty thing is working out. It's season 3, episode 8, Undercovers. Foo.